Jump off that exhausting hamster wheel and into balanced living with Dr. Marissa.
Promise you joy in the mystery.
Dr. Marissa, also known as the Asian Oprah. Her mission, to be a beneficial presence on the planet. Her purpose, to be your personal advocate to live, laugh, love, learn. Her life motto, don't die wondering. Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pay.
And we're back. Okay, can you hear me? Let me see here. I can't hear you. So,
Is that any better? Can you hear me now?
okay, that's better.
All right. Let's
Right.
see. Speaker. Let's do.
There we go. I can hear you
Yes.
now.
All right. And
Perfect.
welcome to Take My Advice. I'm Not Using It. Get Balance with Dr. Marissa, the morning show with a straight talk on Thursdays with
Sam works.
and Pablo. You can hear Pablo in the background right now. I'm babysitting for a night my grand dog's son, and you're tuned into NBC News, CNBC News, and NBC Sports radio station KCAA, AM 1050, FM 106.5, and streaming everywhere. iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, TuneIn, Audible, Amazon Music, JioSaavn, Spreaker, Tiki Live, Rumble, and about 20 other streaming platforms, including my YouTube, my LinkedIn, and Facebook. And I see some eyeballs rolling in. So I am so delighted to have you with us today. As usual, Thursdays are a bit scintillating as I pretty much go away from my professional persona, and I get to play, literally, with my co-host Sam Works, who is well, without insulting my other co-hosts, you're definitely my cutest co-host. But welcome back to the show, Sam. Hold on, let me get it for you. See who beats. That was so funny at the beginning. We're both fighting for the intro. Here we go. Welcome to you, Sam. Always good to have you, and always nice to be on my toes when there's traffic. But you got here just in time, and we are. I don't know why yesterday that this mic worked, but I have 3 mics, so we're good. But we're happy. But just let me know, and thank you in the chat for always keeping me clear on the air, on camera, and on microphone. So we're going to start. Actually, why don't you introduce the topic today, so in case anybody who's tuned in wants to invite some friends to have a chat about it, and then we'll go and have breakfast with a gratitude sandwich.
Yeah, sure, definitely. So today's topic, of course, since it is straight talk, we're talking about relationships, but more specifically, the power of being single and the power of being one with somebody else, like a couple, right? Because there are pros and cons, and we kind of went over it last week. So if you guys weren't there last week, it's going to be a little recap as far as talking about what's good between being single and being together. So it's a good topic. I'm excited about it. And but before we do that, let's get into our gratitude, right?
Yes,
All right.
starting the morning with 8 specific gratitudes. That's the top of the bun. So you can start, Sam. Specific
Sure, okay.
gratitude.
One thing that I'm grateful for is mercy and having be able to make mistakes and have that not be the end. So
that As a little side background. Yes. I'm grateful that everything happens as it's supposed to happen, even when I don't like it. And I'm grateful that I have this thing called, I can't wait to see what good comes out of this. And INTBOHD, it's not that big of a hairy deal. So there you go. Go ahead. That was
Uh,
two. So you get two.
yes, another thing that I'm grateful for are my doctors and dentists because I got two fake teeth now. They're my two front teeth. It's crazy.
What?
Yeah, so that's a plus. I'm glad. I don't know.
Yeah. Did you? Oh, we'll have to figure. We'll talk about that later. But
Yeah.
we can talk about. No, let's talk about it now. What happened?
So when I was a little kid, I was airsofting, and someone hit me in the face with the back of the gun, and it knocked out my front tooth. Right,
How
and
old
then
were you?
probably like 11 or 12.
Wow.
And then I had some like temporaries for ever since then, and it was all discolored and like yellow and stuff. So I got it replaced. But then they're like, hey, your other tooth is a little chipped on the corner. And if you get your front one replaced, like you'll be able to tell the difference. So you might as well get the other one replaced too. So I got
Wow. Ah.
replaced. So
Wow.
yeah, they did a really good
Coolio. Would
job.
have never known. Would have never known.
So
Awesome.
now I'm not so self-conscious about my smile. So,
Oh, I never realized you were before.
oh yeah, pretty
So,
bad.
oh,
All right.
okay.
So that
Cool.
was one. Another thing that I'm grateful for, as always, our morning coffee. Me and Dr. Marissa drink our morning coffee to keep us going because we are
That's
both
right.
full. So definitely.
Awesome. And my last gratitude is that the sun's always shining somewhere, even when it's cloudy. And I'm solar powered, so that's a good thing. And now the bottom of the bun is 8 appreciations that you have of yourself. It is a muscle that is, I believe, the most important muscle in life, because if you can't approve of yourself, and you are constantly looking to others for approval, it's going to be a rocky ride because everybody else is, focused on their own reality show. And so if you can know what you're good at, know what 88% of the time, and know what you're not good at, it makes for a much smoother ride through life. So I appreciate that I am flexible
Uh,
88% of the time.
now, is that like physically flexible or like flexible with like time and everything?
Are you asking me if I'm a bottom or a top now?
No.
I used to be able to do the splits. Oh, he's getting red. I love making Sam red. Um,
Yeah.
I used to be able to do the splits, and people have said I was super duper flexible. And I don't know. The doctors say maybe that's why I needed two hip replacements, because I was, so flexible. We don't know, but I'm not quite as flexible as I used to be. So
Uh,
that would, which is one of the reasons why traditional yoga was not very comfortable for me. But that's why the balanced Tai Chi Gong practice was born. So again, I wonder what good comes out of this. And a new moving meditation came out of it.
nice.
And what do you appreciate about you?
Something that I appreciate about myself is that, um, I think I said this last week, but learning to be selfless and not selfish, right?
Mm-hmm.
In terms of like my family wants me to do better, my family doesn't want me doing, certain things in life, and being able to stop that and move forward in life is definitely something that I appreciate about myself. So,
Fantastic. I appreciate that I'm loving 88% of the time.
mm. I appreciate that, I take any opportunity that comes my way.
I appreciate that dogs and kids almost all the time will come to me. And I credit my dad for that. He had that magnetic ability, and I'm grateful I have some of that. Not as much as he had, but It's, you know, you're a good person when kids and dogs who don't know you, it's like the best compliment when I'm in the elevator and a dog comes up to me and the owner's like, wow, you know, normally they don't go to strangers. And so that always makes me feel good. And at
That's
some point, you'll see Pablo, and it's always nice to be greeted by a dog or a puppy who knows you. There's nothing like that feeling. Talk about feeling super important, and that's my goal, is to feel like that about myself, which is contrary to what we grew up with, which is don't be selfish, don't think of yourself, don't put yourself forward. And I think that has been a disservice to us, because then all we do is just keep looking for other people to go, you're so good, you're so cute, you're so wonderful. But if you can just take that breath and say, I'm not a piece of shiitake, but I'm not hot shiitake. I'm just pretty good shiitake. And that always works. And I see some eyeballs rolling in. I just want to welcome really quickly. And I see a comment here. Thank you for coming in and being part of this fabulous Thursday themed show called Straight Talk with Dr. Marissa and Sam Works. Welcome to Cecilia Martinez, who is on my Facebook, and so glad to see you. Feel free to chime in and give us your 8 cents worth as we talk about, like, see, Sam texted me yesterday. I let him pick the topics because I pick most of the time. So with my co-hosts, I give them first dibs. And he said, the power of one versus the power of two, which I thought was very clever. And that's what we're talking about today. As we finish off our breakfast, Sam, last thing that you appreciate about yourself?
one thing that I appreciate about myself is that I'm a lover, you know, because what comes around goes around, right? So when I when I love someone else, love comes right back to me in different ways, and that's something that I appreciate about it.
Aw, we got the warm and fuzzies going this morning. You never know what's going to happen on Thursday. And Cecilia, feel free to write something that you appreciate about yourself, and I'll put it on the screen, or a gratitude. And this is a practice. Oh, we just finished having breakfast. I think that was 8 or close to it. But this is a blissipline, hashtag blissipline, that I'd like you to continue even when I'm off the air, which is just on the weekends. But I promise, if you do 30 consecutive days of having breakfast of a gratitude sandwich, your days will change. And it's a small adjustment, but extremely powerful. Yes. Oh, thank you for the heart. And now let's get on to the topic. Oh, wait, we have to applause our breakfast. So you can.
I was gonna do that.
We also have a side competition. Who can get to? There's another the buttons, because we both have control of the boards. And if you were tuned in at the very beginning, it was hilarious, because it was like, when you meet people and you kind of like go this way and they keep going the same way. I had that happen yesterday trying to get into my building and turning a left, and this car was waiting for me to turn, and I'm like, oh, that's so nice. I didn't realize, but it was a start and stop. I've never done that dance in a car, so I love
Wow.
doing new things. It was hilarious. I wish someone had taped it. It was hilarious.
Yeah.
All right, Sam, go for it. Why
Okay.
is the power of two better? I mean, that's what, or I don't know, better or worse than the power of one?
Well, like everything else, Dr. Marissa, not everything is black and white. There are some gray areas, right? As we are both aware. So let's start with the power of one, right? Because that's one's first, right? So let's start with that. Um, to give you a good example, when you're by yourself, when you have your own self meditation and your self practice, and you know what you want, it's a lot easier to get things done, right? Things don't necessarily get in the way. So for you, Dr. Marissa, you have so much going on in life that for you, it's the power of one, right? Jack of all trades. Because if you had someone in your life,
Jill, no Jack.
Jill of all trades, okay. Um, who knows? Maybe they can help you. Maybe it would be more efficient in some regards, but at the same time, it could slow you down. Um, so an example for me, um, I'm not dating anyone at the moment, but I am talking to somebody, right?
Ooh, this is
And for
new. This is
yeah,
new.
it's not Dr. Marissa, if you guys are wondering. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, he keeps threatening, but you know.
Let's see. Yeah, so right now for me, it's good to be a power of one because like especially the first like what 3 or 4 months of a relationship, it's like all fire, all spark. It's all there, right, in the atmosphere, and people get a little clingy because they want to be with each other because it's fresh, it's new, it's exciting. Um, but then it's like when you have to go, they don't want you to go, and you start to not really respect yourself by leaving, but giving your time away and disrespecting yourself. Because if you said, hey, I have to be somewhere at 7, and but they don't want you to stay, or they want you to stay, they don't want you to go, and they somehow convince you to stay just a little longer, well,
Is that why
that's
you
you.
were late this morning? No, I'm kidding.
No.
Busted. Sorry, go
Bingo.
ahead.
No, I actually took a screenshot of the GPS of all the traffic. It's crazy. Um, so that can be one thing that's bad, especially the start of relationship, because towards like once you get past like the third, 4th month, it's easier to adjust, right? Because sometimes you don't want to be with that person for that long, and it's like they want to go out there, or like you're slacking, because when you're with somebody, then that comfortability starts to kick in. And being comfortable is not necessarily a good thing, right? Because once you're comfortable, then you don't have that drive to progress, right? So when you're comfortable with someone, what happens? You stop going to the gym. You start eating desserts more. You start just cuddling in bed or on the couch, and that really starts to take a toll not only on your health, but on your mental mindset as well, right? Because now your mind's on different things. It's on the person that you're with. So the power of one is really good if you are straightforward and if you know what you want and you're after it, right?
Hmm.
What are your thoughts on that?
I think that you gave a very accurate description of the first trimester of a relationship. I have a pregnancy model of relationships, and that first 3 months is the like the glow and the butterflies, and you make promises that you can't necessarily keep. You set a precedent that you can't necessarily continue. Everything's roses. Everything is, oh, I feel like I've known them for my entire life. And you talk
Hi.
it like you see, you lose your time, you lose your drive, but you have butterflies. And I actually, uh, tell especially my kids, when they start to future trip about, where's this going, and is this a good match and all of that, I tell them enjoy that first 3 months, because it's never going to come again. I In my more cynical times, I say the first date, it's great, and it's all downhill after that. Just kidding, sort of. But that first 3 months of the glow is something that you just can't get from anyone else, your kids, your friends, your whoever it is. So that's why I do say, go for it. Don't X out relationships out of your life, because that's a beautiful part of life. And then I know you're going to come back with, but Dr. Marissa, you are so happily single. That's because the name of my show is Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It, if you haven't figured that out. And let's see, we have, yes, Cecilia agrees with me. It does wear off. Let's see. I can't stay silent. I let them know ahead of time I don't like clinging. All right. So
Ooh.
that's actually semester 2 or trimester 2 where the reality sets in.
Mm-hmm.
So trimester 1 is when everything is roses and beautiful and love and butterflies. And then trimester 2 is when people think that they got tricked. Oh, I didn't see the red flags. I didn't know that about them. And when I coach couples, the most important thing to understand is every part of that person is in the first 2 trimesters. You get the good and the not so good, the beautiful and the not so beautiful. And the 3rd trimester is when you decide if 80% of the time you're happy with them. And if you're not happy with them, let them go, because they are not going to be happy with someone who's not happy with them. So that's my model. So I would say that in that first trimester, it's okay to have a little bit of fun and to sort of get out of the routine for a little bit, as long as it comes back into balance, right?
Mm.
So when you're feeling good, feel good. Don't put a damper on that butterfly. Don't kill the butterfly, right? It is really one of those special feelings that is not supposed to be all the time necessarily. People have this unrealistic expectation that you're always going to feel that rush, and it's the chemicals, it's the your heart opening. That kind of feeling is not necessarily going to continue. It has a shelf life, usually around 3 months.
Yeah. And if it was like everlasting, like that feeling, that rush and everything, then it wouldn't feel that special, right? You'd get
That's
used
right.
to it. And it was funny because in high school, the average time or the average duration of like my relationships was about 3 to 4 months, and I never knew why. And I had one of these girls who really wanted me, and I said, you know what? Look, we're not going to date, but we can hang out, do all these things, but we won't date until after 3 to 4 months of knowing each other, right? And
Yes, but the 3 months also is glue. You have to have that glue to get through the second 3 months. If you don't have the glue, right? It's kind of like grad school. If you really don't want that degree, you're not going to make it through the first semester of courses. You have to really want something. So if you want a relationship and you already have so much drama and doubt and freak out and red flags in the beginning, that's not a good sign. So you need that glue to be able to sort of ride through the next 2 semesters or trimesters of the relationship. So I would disagree respectfully that you really can't control that first 3 months, that you can't skip it. If you skip it, you're screwed, or not screwed, so to speak, literally.
well,
So does that make sense?
it does make sense.
Yeah.
With my personal experience, I only done that to one girl. Like I held her back, right? And it's funny because I actually made her wait 8 months in total.
Ooh.
And her favorite time was Halloween, and it was 8 months during that time. And I really thought to myself, I said, dang, she waited this long and she's still like waiting for me. She's still See, Dr. Marissa, why do you need someone when you have your cute little Frenchie right here?
That's exactly my point. This is Pablo. And I've always said that if I get a dog, I'll never date again. And this is why, because you get unconditional love from, this is my grand dog son. Say hi. This is Pablo, and I get an overnight with him tonight. His dad has to work. He's my daughter's boyfriend's dog, so he
Daughter's boyfriend's dog.
yeah, daughter's boyfriend's dog. So
How
I
long-
get to babysit.
How long has your daughter been dating?
Oh boy, I'm gonna get in trouble because I'm not exactly sure, but it's definitely more than a year.
Oh wow.
And the funny thing is, his mom's name is Marissa, and her birthday is August 10th.
Which is your birthday.
Correct. Is that
Wow.
crazy?
That's
Is
so
that
crazy.
crazy? She lives on the East Coast in Virginia.
Ah.
Isn't
By
that crazy though?
By the beach?
No. But
Okay.
I just thought that was, what are the chances of that, right?
Mhm.
That's
That
a
is-
Watcott, WATCOT. What are the chances of that, right?
Ah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, anywho, I like I said, I made her wait 8 months, and that was kind of like a realization that like it wasn't just for the sex or just for like the excitement. Like she really wanted to be committed to me, and that was probably one of my longest relationships I had. We dated for just about 2 years, and then for me, I had to stick to the power of one because I was trying to get my career started, and I couldn't spend the time with her. So, but it was a good relationship. I enjoyed it, no regrets, and I'm glad that I got to experience that. So
Sounds great. Sounds great. So thank you, Cecilia. Yeah, she's like blowing up the chat here, which is great. She loves Pablo. Yes, we all love Pablo so much. He honestly should be a pig because he snorts like one and he kind of looks like one. I've got his tickle spot right now. But so let's talk about. See, I was going to say part of the equation. You said power of one versus power of two. Now, power of two, anything to the power of two is more than just 1 + 1, right? 2 to the power of 2 is actually 4.
right.
And that so by and if you look at our world and our society, there is this BS belief system that 2 is better than 1. All right, and that it's synergy. As a power couple, you're going to have a better life if you find someone to complete you. And, if there's something wrong with you, you're a spinster if you're not with someone and all of that. So I want to just say, though, that the power of 2, you have to realistically minus, right? It's 2 to the power of 2, but there's a minus in there. What does it take? What takes away from the synergy of a couple? So conflict and getting through conflict, which you don't have in the power of 1, right? With 1, I'm not fighting with myself most of the time, right?
Yeah.
I don't have to compromise. I don't have to collaborate. I don't have to, any of those things. I just do what I do when I want, how I want. And the most successful powers of 2 have to learn skills on how to manage conflict. And this is where, I got interviewed down in San Diego on a TV station during Valentine's. They asked me to always talk about relationships. And the question that was posed was, do relationships really have to be that hard? Like, how hard do you have to work at relationships? So that's my question to you. How hard? When do you know that this is way too much work? I think that's a really good question to pose and to learn from. And what time is it now? Because I do need to take a break. Is this a good time to take a break? Or
yeah,
you
let's
comment?
Take a break and then
you want to take a break? All right. Yes. So if you've just tuned in, you're listening to Straight Talk with Dr. Marissa and
Sam Works.
Here on Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get balance with Dr. Marissa, the morning show on KCAA, the station that leaves no listener behind.
Was the perfect setting for an international film festival.
Kate Beckinsale.
Benedict Cumberbatch.
I'm Milo Ventimiglia. You're at the Newport Beach Film Festival.
Newport Beach, stepping it up.
Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pay.
And welcome back. You're tuned in to Take My Advice. I'm not using a gift balance with Dr. Marissa and
Sam Works.
here on NBC News Radio, KCAA, AM 1050, FM 106.5, and streaming everywhere. iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, and my YouTube channel, where you can find all 794 shows these past 9.5 years, but who's counting? As well as my red carpet playlist with interviews with let's see, The Temptations, Halle Berry, John Travolta, and Jimmy Fallon. So you'll check that out. So free subscribe, and then you'll get an alert every weekday morning for this show about hope and happiness. So there's no gossip, no scandal, and no K words, no Kardashian talk at all. Instead, I want you to focus on your own reality show and how you can be happy 88% of the time. So I have topics and guests to that and special series, and today is no exception. It is Straight Talk with Sam Works and Dr. Marissa, where we talk about how to be happier, single or in a relationship. And before we get into that, I guess the sound wasn't working. I want to give a quick, beautiful shout out to a show sponsor that's been with me like 8 years out of the 9.5. And let's see, we'll put this up and put a little background music. I don't know if I have done this before, but see, when that goes on, there's no background music. So, I mean, there's no mic. So let's try this one. Can you still hear me?
Yes.
Sam? Fabulous.
Yep.
Timeless Treasures Spectacular Boutique is happening today, Thursday, October 6th through Sunday, October the 9th. Just 4 days to support over 120 local artisans and craftspeople. Give back to the community, find ghoulishly clever gifts and decorations, and have fun. Today, Thursday, the first 50 customers each get a free loaf of fresh baked pumpkin cake. On Friday, play Halloween trivia. Saturday, wear a costume or a great hat and maybe win a prize. And Sunday, trick or treat all day. See you there at TimelessTreasuresBoutiques.com for more details and directions. It's 7227 Edinger Avenue at Gothard in Huntington Beach, California. And a special shout out to my bonus mom, who is turning 90 and still making her original creations, her vests, her felted hats, her knitting and crocheting, and she is selling her wares there. So please do go support my bonus mom. Thursday through Sunday at Timeless Treasures Boutiques. And we'll get a little applause there. All right. And we're back. Can you hear me? And we're good?
Yeah, but the music.
Is that music still on?
Yeah.
Yay! Okay, we're trying to.
There you go.
I got new bells and whistles on this board, so we're just playing. All right, Sam, commenting on what we were talking about before, the minuses. How hard do you have to work to make a relationship work?
You know, it shouldn't take that much effort at all. It's just understanding each other's schedule, time, and like mindset. I had a relationship where we told each other like, hey, we have to see each other, you know, this many times a week. And if not, you know, we get punished, you know? And did that relationship last long? Absolutely not. You know? So every time, in my personal experience, every time when a relationship is forced, it never works out, right? Because then that gets you out of your flow state, that natural setting up a pump tent, easy, build a mansion, looks at work, better outcome this year for the long run haul.
So this is wisdom from I believe he's been married a long time, and this is the coolest part, Sam. Raymond Crutcher was my daughter's teacher in elementary school.
Oh wow! That's
How
awesome.
cool is that?
That's pretty
Love
cool.
you. One of my favorite teachers. There's a couple, so I can't say the favorite of my daughter's teachers, but definitely top three. And I love the fact that he's still connected to me through Facebook, and he's commenting. So setting up a pup tent. I'm not sure, is that pup tent like my
like
puppy
a like
that
a
I've got?
no like a pop up, you know, just
Oh,
like
a
an
pop-up
easy up.
tent. Easy up. Easy up. That's a triple entendre right there. Easy up, building a mansion, lots of work. Better outcome if you're in for the long haul. Yeah, I would agree with that. But I would say how much construction effort, how much money goes into the construction, how much time goes into the construction to know that this is something that you want to actually put a foundation on for the mansion. So I'm sure he's typing an answer now. Go ahead, Sam, you were saying.
Yeah, so anything, it shouldn't be that hard to.
How hard should it be?
Well, honestly, at first, just as long as you guys understand where your morals and your values are, right? Because then you can just go based off of that. If your values are just quality time and just doing what you want, then that's pretty easy. But if your values are, you know, on being successful and, you know, trying to provide, it's going to be tough. But as long as you guys both understand that, then it will be easier at the end, right? Because there's a quote, it's called, well, the saying is purpose over pleasure, right? So the first 3 months, it's all pleasure. But the purpose is what really matters and what really kicks in after those 3 months, as Dr. Marissa was saying. So as long as you understand the purpose over the pleasure, then that's something that you guys can work on together. And when you have someone, especially, there is always going to be conflict, right? Because you're not the same people. But as long as, like you said, as long as you know how to manage the conflicts, they can really help you grow as an individual and as a couple itself. Like with me, I knew I had stuff to work on. But when I was my last girlfriend, like she was like, this is what I want in a man. And I didn't have those qualities. But as we started dating and as time went on, I learned to have those qualities, and it made me a better person overall, because that's something that I've added to my life and not subtracted, right? So these conflicts, are not necessarily bad. If that's how you view it and that's how you take it, then yes, it's bad. But if you take these conflicts and really reflect upon it and see why it's a conflict or like why it's happening, you can really find the good value in it. And that's something that you always do, right, Dr. Marissa, with all your with all your problems and situations, you always ask yourself like, okay, what's the benefit coming out of this, right?
Yes. What I can't wait to see what good comes out of this. That's my standard line. But let's when I coach couples, since we're in the second half of the show, which is usually solution oriented because I don't want to talk about the problem too long. That is one is if you make a deal, because even conflict management styles, people opposites attract. So usually one couple wants it to resolve it right now. Like, I want to talk this through. I want to get to the solution. I want to feel good again. I want makeup sex, whatever it is. I want us to resolve this now. And usually the other opposites attract doesn't, it's not, no, I need time to just cool off. I need time to just like not lick my wounds, not going there, but time to just, just chill out. And I don't want to, or they're conflict avoidant altogether and they don't want to talk about it. Just let's forget it. Okay. So you have these two completely different conflict resolution styles that are going to not match. So my coaching tip for if you're in that situation is make an agreement of, the middle ground. The balance here is, okay, you don't want to deal with the conflict at all. You want to deal with the conflict right away. What's a good middle ground? So let's give it an hour. Would an hour give you enough time to sort of just step away, get off the ceiling, chill out a bit, go look at your wedding pictures, remember how beautiful that was, or go through your phone and see, memories of good times, and then come back together and then hold hands as you're talking so that you're not able to storm off and say, F you, this is too much work. Because here's the biggest tip I have for couples is you cannot unring a bell. And I wish I came up with that. Dr. Phil actually came up with that. You cannot unring a bell. So whatever you say in the heat of the moment, you can never take back. And once that is seared, even if you apologize with a million flowers or whatever, however you pay, I'm so sorry, and try to make up for it, you can never erase what you said. It's kind of like cheating. You can say sorry, you can explain it, you can, even maybe get the person to understand it, but you cannot unring that bell. So, we can talk about that next week, but can a relationship survive cheating? That's also one of my favorite topics to talk about. But it's so important, more so than, leaving in the toilet seat up or not. If you can agree to a way to resolve conflict, then you have a real good chance of building a mansion. But if you can't even come to a middle ground agreement on that, it's going to be really tough. It is going to be a hard road to toe. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and like the biggest thing, like I said before, is like communication, right? Because
What?
communication.
What?
Communication?
What?
Haha. But that's super important because
Hey, sorry.
because everyone lives a life differently in their own lifestyle. So in order to, if you're gonna be with somebody, then you have to partake in their lifestyle in some degree, right? You don't have to live the way they live. Like if you're a vegan, you don't have to eat meat, but you do have to communicate with the other person in order to understand each other. And once you understand each other, then that's where less conflict happens, right?
Mm.
Because if it was just like, oh, he's always mad, and you just don't know why, then you just see him as a always mad person. But if you understand why he always gets mad, then maybe he will start to get a little less mad. You know, that conflict would probably not disappear, but dilute just a little more, you know?
Yeah.
And conflict is good. Conflict is good because then you start to speak, not necessarily like out like what's in your mind, but you express yourself in a different way, right? Other than love, other than appreciation. Now you express yourself in anger. And that really shows sometimes how you really feel, right? And you don't have to drink in order to do that. Some people have to have that liquid courage, you know? And I like how you said, where you said, you make them hold hands, right? Because there's a connection. Like sometimes when people are mad at each other, they don't even want to look at each other. They don't even look in that direction, right? And that has some type of intimate value towards it. So there's the look, and then there's the touch.
Yeah.
And the touch is even more intense because now you feel the, you can almost feel the emotion.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to look someone in the eye and tell them the truth.
How
But
hard?
it's even harder.
Sorry.
But it's even tougher to be able to have a physical touch with someone, especially if you're mad.
Yes.
Because if you are going to touch someone you're mad, you're probably going to be like a little physical. But when you're just holding each other and touching each other, then it gets just even deeper. That intimacy is there. So
Absolutely.
I like what you said.
Thank
and
you.
I'm going to start using that. I'm going to start practicing that.
And thank you for bringing up the eye contact too, because that just intensifies it even more. Although it's difficult. That's why I say hand holding first, because that's sort of, the connection without. Sometimes people read into stuff and go to MSU University and make shiitake up when it's not even there. So, just that connection first helps. Now, I'm glad you brought something up about, the communicating what you want or what's wrong and what's going wrong. So, two things. One, I find it so funny that when I ask my clients that are in relationships, what do you want in a relationship? And almost always they'll say, I want someone who gets me, who loves me, who likes me for all the good, bad, and ugly, right? And kind of gets me is the term. And then I turn around and I say, well, then if you want someone to love you exactly the way you are, why are you having such a difficult time liking them exactly the way they are? Don't they also have the right to be liked and loved exactly the way they are? So this double standard of, no, you have to love me for who I am, right? Even when I'm not perfect, but I'm going to pick on every single way that you are wrong, bad, imperfect, and that's not okay. So that inequality, and I hate to bag on women, but there's a lot of women who follow this, love me the way I am, but you got to change. or pick, and we can do another show on pick, how good is your picker? Because
Ooh, that's a good one.
I see a lot of women who say, I love to travel. I hate smokers. I love trying new things. And then they pick a guy whose second date wants to stay home, sit on the couch, watch, stream Netflix, doesn't want to go anywhere, has, a set diet and will not vary from it to try new foods. And then they're miserable, right? Because they didn't pick someone with all their things that they know that they like about themselves and then try to change that person. That's the most common thing of why relationships don't work. So we can do a whole show on that one for sure.
Yeah, I think that's what gets my most mind on curiosity is, like why do the extroverted date the introverted? Like that's something that I never really understood. But again, you say opposites attract, right? And I'm sure it probably controls them a little more, make sure they don't get into themselves a little more. So
yeah, for sure. It's an interesting dynamic how opposites attract. And I do a lot of business consulting on this, on why people drive you crazy at work, because they naturally are opposite ends of the spectrum, and they it's like the repelling magnets, introvert, extrovert, right? Um, there's one perceiving and judging. You were talking about black and white. There's people who naturally think in black and white. What's the right answer? What category does it go into? And then there's other people, and they usually attract in relationships, who are love to leave things open. Well, it depends, and we don't have time for the story. Well, my husband we'd go on vacation, and he would say, um, having a nice breakfast, and I'll say, well, where are we going for dinner? And he would say, we're having breakfast. Why do we need to talk about dinner? It's like, okay, be in the moment, because I'm a high J, he's a high P. And lunchtime, same thing. By 4 o'clock, he goes, I know where I want to go for dinner. I want to go to Morton's. And I'm like, wow, we can't get reservations now. If you had told me in the morning, we could have had it. So that's the natural JP interaction that drives you crazy about each other. But if you can understand that, if that's so important to you, not to pick someone who is that, diametrically opposed, that gives you that conflict, then it'll be better.
So I think we know what our next topic is for next week.
Yes, I think we do too. And final word, we have 2 minutes.
It is not black and white, so it's not just the power one's better than the power two or vice versa. It's definitely up to the individual and your lifestyle. So first, you got to figure that out before you choose. And like you said, enjoy those 3-4 months. Enjoy the sparks, and hey, if you guys continue, then good job. Continue.
Sounds great. Yeah, my final word is, talking about those butterflies, maybe it's time to check it out and maybe experience it for myself. I don't know. But I do want to invite you all. I am one of the sponsors of the Newport Beach Chinese Film. The Chinese Spotlight Film is an annual event that has lion dancing and all of that. I'm giving away 2 tickets on Monday, so you'll have to keep it here to come back to find out how. But go to Newport Beach Film Fest on Google and join me. It's a fabulous party, the most diverse film festival in the world. This is Dr. Marissa reporting live from my living room with
Sam Works
here on Straight Talk. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for the comments and being here. This is all about balance. Peace in, peace out. World peace through inner peace. Now go and have the best day ever.